Good morning students. Today we will discuss about arrays. In the last class we studied about strings, isn't it? We discussed about various operations of string, function, how to access a string, how to print the string, and how to take user input in case of a string. So after string we will move on to array. Now talking about array, we already studied this during computer application. Array is contiguous memory locations which can store multiple data of the same data type. Okay. So what is the formal definition of array? Array is stores multiple data of same data type. Okay. So what is array? Array stores, it's a storage location first. Storage locations which stores multiple data of same data type. Suppose you want to store a list of marks. Okay. There are 10 marks, you want to store it. You can use an array. Okay. For example, int array 15. So this is a array declaration. This is how we declare an array. So for declaring an array, what we have to do? We have to mention the type. This is the data type. This is the name of the array. Name of array. And what is this? This is size. Okay. Size of array. So in case of arrays, we always have to, give the size. Even if we are not giving the size, we have to, mention we have to initialize the array. So what we have to do is, the bottom line is the compiler. The compiler in case of array must know how much memory location to reserve for storing the data. Okay. The compiler has to know beforehand how much data how much memory location should I reserve for an array. Okay. So we will move on towards declaration and initialization of array, and then after that we will discuss about how to access array elements. Okay. So moving on to declaration and initialization. So how to declare an array is, first we have to give the data type, the type of data that we want to store. Suppose int, then the array name. Suppose I am giving the array name as marks. Okay, so this is what the name of array. And then after that I have to, give size. Suppose I am not giving size, I will simply say 10, 15, 12, 30, 45. Okay. So this is how we initialize an array. This is one way of doing so. Here what I am doing, I am declaring the array plus I am giving value to it. So now the compiler knows that for marks I have to store 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations. So behind the scenes at the back end, what happens is, memory locations are stored in which 10, 15, 12, 30 and 45 is stored. This is what our marks array look like. Okay, understood? This is what pretty much happens. 5 memory locations are reserved for storing whatever we have initialized it to. So 10, 15, 12, 30 and 45 are stored here. Okay. Similarly, another way of initializing is, or declaring is, we can declare it as int marks. Suppose 5 marks we want to store. Then after that, you can initialize in however way possible. Suppose in a loop you want to take user value, you want to take the marks from user. So what we can do? For loop int I less than what? 5. Sorry, I is equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. We have to give. Okay. So this is our loop. After that, inside the for loop, what we can do, we can ask for user to input it. Scan percentile day and percent of what? Marks. Okay. So here what happens? One by one, we have to give input, and in the memory, 5 locations are created, and as we give input, suppose first time the for loops run for 5 times. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. At the 0th iteration, I may give a number called 12. In the first iteration, I may give 30. In the second iteration, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 5 times the loop will run, and each time I will give some mark, 80, 85. So then we can of course print it simultaneously. Then again within a for loop we can what do? I less than 5, I plus plus. We can simply print it. Print percentile D ARR, sorry, marks. The array name is marks. Marks I. Okay, I hope it is clear now. What we are doing is, we are declaring an array. We are taking input from the user inside the loop. One by one, 5 inputs we have taken. After that, we are simply printing the array content. So what will be printed here actually? 12, 30, 45, 80, 85. 12, 30, 45, 80, 85. Okay, so this is what the output looks like. So I hope array initialization and its access you have understand. How to access an array element? We can access array element by its indexing value. We will study this in detail now. So accessing array element. Okay. Now, suppose you have declared an array called uh, array. The name itself is array 5 integer type array, and it is 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Suppose this is your array. Now you want to print the last element. Suppose I ask you to write a program and print the last element. So first you have to understand that inside the at the back end, the compiler what it does, it stores, it reserves 5 location and allocates the allotted number to it. So this is index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Array indexing always starts from these 0. So these are the prerequisites, you already know it. I am just brushing it up, and we should be working on the programs, how to access the array element. Okay. So here, what happens when I ask you to print the last element, it's too direct, isn't it? What we can do is we can simply print by writing the statement printf percentile d. This is what? The array name is array and its index value. What is the index value? 4. So you can simply write printf. What is the data type? Since it's an integer data type, we will use percentile d, and we will simply, give the, we are asking to print the array 4th element. That is, accessing an element of an array can be made through its index. Okay, this is the key point to note here. You can access an array element through its index always. Without its index value, we cannot access the elements of an array. Okay, similarly, when we give input to the array, we also use for loop, and we used a variable called I starting from 0, isn't it? So array indexing always start from 0 and you can access an array element through its indexed value. Okay. So through array 4, what will be printed in this? 50 will be printed, isn't it? 50 will be printed. Okay. So this was about accessing array element. So now if I ask you to write a program to find sum of all elements of an array, do you think you can try it? We could do that, okay? Suppose write a program to find sum of array elements. So you can, it's up to us whether we want to, initialize the array in the code itself, or you may take up the inputs from the user also through scanning. So we will write the program, let's try. So in the main function what we can do, we have to declare an array. I will take an integer array, suppose integer, I can say numbers. Okay, integer nums, let's take 5 numbers. We will keep it short and let's initialize itself like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. This is how we initialize. You know it pretty well. Okay. When we initialize, we have to, give the element separated by a comma. Okay. Now what we have to do, the use case is to find the sum of array elements. So what we have to do, we have to access the array element one by one and add it. Isn't it? We want the sum. So what we have to do, we have to initiate a variable called sum, which is equal to 0 at the beginning. Okay. Now what we have to do, we have to start a for loop for performing the add operation. Sum equal to 0 and variable called I, because we have to run a loop. So I indexing always start from 0, so I equal to 0. I less than, what is the size? 5, isn't it? So it has to run 5 times, 0 to 4 times. And I plus plus. Now what we have to do is, we have to perform the addition. Sum is equal to sum plus, what is nums I, isn't it? One by one, all the elements will be added to sum. Okay. Now finally what we have to do, we have to just, after this loop, everything is, the sum is ready. We just have to print it. Printf percentile d sum. That's our result. So what will be the result printed? In the first iteration, I'll just show you how it works. I0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When I equal to 0, sum is what? Sum is 0 plus 10. That is what? 10. When I equal to 1, sum is what? 10 plus 20, 30. When I is equal to 2, sum is what? 30 plus 30, that is 60. When I is equal to 3, sum is what? 30 plus 40. Sorry, 60 plus 40, that is 100. When I is equal to 4, sum is 100 plus 50, that is 150. So this is our error. When I is equal to 5, the condition becomes false because I is not less than 5. So condition becomes false, it comes out of loop and sum is printed. So what is printed here? 150 is printed. Okay. So I hope it is very much clear to you guys now. So in array, all we need to do is, there is nothing much to learn. Everything you have to practice. We have to operate on array by various ways. Given a use case, given a objective, you have to attain that objective by using array or manipulating or altering array. Okay, there will be various things. Now we can extend this problem to finding the average of all the numbers provided in the array. So do you think you can calculate the average? Of course, we got the sum. Now for average, what we have to do? We have to simply divide this number by 5 because there are 5 elements. Okay. Sum by number of elements is what we call average. So number of element is 5. Simply you can do what is sum divided 5 and you will get the average. You can simply print it. So take that down as a homework, that the homework is to find average of numbers in an array. Okay, this is the homework. So you can try it. And meanwhile, if you have any doubt, you can post it in the comment section or you can mail me or WhatsApp me. Okay, anything you wish to do, you can do that. Through that means I will be available to you. So thank you. That's all.